All right, I got something for you. You want to look smart, like you have some obscure esoteric knowledge about the creation of whiskey that would impress even the most hardcore of whiskey nerds? We're talking about barrel seasoning, also known as yard aging. And it's the reason why you can't just cut down a tree and turn it into a barrel. I'm gonna talk to you about why the best new oak is actually old oak. Shit gets weird.
What the hell?
We just have this laying around like it's not a sacred artifact. It's just sitting here like it's...
No, it was stapled.
It was attached.
It was stapled until you ripped it off.
This is the OG 53-gallon single malted magnificence.
The one that won? I can fold it up and put it
Don't fold it up! It won best single malt in Texas.
Yeah. Why are your hands so sweaty?
Because it's nervous holding.
They just grazed me and I'm just doused in sweat.
Do not feel mine right now.
Oh my God!
Wow. Oh man.
That's amazing. All right, are we doing this?
All right, you magnificent bastards. We are going to be doing an unbarreling. This is a check-in. This is the Irish-style whiskey quest.
Oh!
Yes. Actually, no, we're not doing that. The tasting notes video with Brianna that's going to be in Patreon, but that batch of unbarreling sample tastings that we did, we ended up doing a comparison with yard-aged, also known as seasoned, oak barrels. All right, Whiskey Tribe. Got some bottling going in the background, but right now we're gonna do an unbarreling.
We've gotten varying ages, the oak itself,
Yeah.
varying yard ages.
New oak?
New oak, char 2. The only difference of the barrel is the yard aging.
The wood that's used to create the staves. It's just the amount of time that you let the barrel wood age out in the yard before you turned it into a barrel that had a whiskey put into it. It gives it a moment to let all of the compounds that are in that living wood die that would give it weird flavors.
It's wet, living wood. There are compounds that need to get out, otherwise you will taste them in the whiskey. Balcones recently did an experiment. They did the Texas live oak. He told us the compound they were waiting for to actually test it to make sure that's gone. They had it on their roof for 4 years.
Wow.
On that Texas live oak.
Yeah.
Before that compound was gone.
So we're gonna start with the youngest yard aged. How much time did this have yard aged?
12 months of yard aging before coopering.
1-year-old yard aged barrel, which isn't a lot of yard age. You know, it's kind of like the bare minimum. Ideally, you know, at least 2.
Yeah, there's still lots of new makes, so this is still very young.
An immature jammy character. It's wanting to be a jam, but it doesn't have that depth of a flavor yet.
Yeah, I remember trying this at 6 months, and I did notice the oak was showing up in a very fresh barrel way, like a fresh smell of a new barrel.
Yeah.
That's finally gone now.
I don't have a lot of vanillins.
The light fruity characters haven't shown up yet.
There's the oakiness.
Yeah, just a little bit of that melon is there, like that new makey melon smell. Any other light fruits that we get on like two-year-old bourbon hasn't shown up yet.
This young, at this proof, a lot of heat from that ethanol. The flavors aren't keeping up with the heat, but what is buried under that ethanol layer, it's relatively simple at this point. It's just now establishing the flavors,
Yeah,
but
really clean. It's not dense.
it is worth mentioning that if you take wood and you turn it into a barrel, that wood doesn't continue to yard age, it doesn't continue to season in the traditional sense because that barrel needs to have some liquid in it to maintain its structure. After that wood is turned into a barrel, you can't just let it sit there so that oak has the benefit of continuing to age without anything inside of it. Barrels want things inside of it. They want the liquid in there to keep the wood plump and tight, to keep that shape of the barrel together because eventually they get dried out. Basically, if you're leaving barrels outside and they're empty and you're going to season them, then the wood gets super dried out. It, yes, ages, but it doesn't really function very well as a barrel anymore. For example, it's so dried out that the hoops can fall off. So that seasoning, that yard aging definitely has to happen before it's turned into a barrel, because once it's a barrel, game on, the clock's ticking. You're late.
I was pressing record. Also, we have a guest.
So this is brought to you by, did you hear that? That was not a mattress squeaking. It's too good of a quality of a mattress to go squeaking like that.
So true.
Common. Helix Sleep. These are premium quality mattresses shipped to your door, customized to fit your needs. You wanna make sure it's a good quality mattress so you get good quality sleep, because that has downstream effects with every aspect of your life, your energy level, your mood, all of these things.
Don't chew on the
So the Helix lineup is going to offer 20 unique mattresses to make sure that you're going to get the right recommendation. If you've been watching the channel for a minute, you know that we've both been rocking the Helixes for a minute. The way that they're going to make sure the mattress is the right fit for your needs, you're going to do a sleep quiz, and it's going to recommend a handful of options for you and your sleep preferences.
Are you a side sleeper? You a front sleeper? You back sleeper? You up in the butt air sleeper?
I am a side sleeper.
Up in the butt air? Oh, God.
No. Hey, buddy. Oh, he just ran away.
There's a 100-night sleep trial. 100 nights for you to decide if this is the right mattress for you.
So, Brianna,
No, you can't do that, okay? It'll come out weird.
has this pet turned your Helix into the world's largest dog bed?
He doesn't sleep on it
No?
all night. Bring in the boy!
Here we go. This is a dog.
Oh, God! Oh, cheapers! Oh!
There you go. Does your animal enjoy the mattress?
It's puppy approved!
It's gonna come conveniently rolled up to your door in a box.
In a box.
Take it to the bedroom, you open it up, it unrolls, and then it goes thunk on the bed. So how do you know it's good quality?
There's a 10-year warranty.
And they have flexible financing options to make sure that you're gonna find something that fits your budget needs as much as it's gonna fit your sleep needs. We're on the tail end of the Labor Day sale. If you wanna get 25% off, go to helixsleep.com/whiskey.
Plus 2 free pillows.
And also, if you saw this after the ending of the sale, then you're still gonna get 20% off. Still a great deal.
helixsleep.com/whiskey. What do you think? How about now?
This is a 2-year yard-aged oak, and this whiskey is 15 months old.
Let's see what kind of difference.
The 2-year yard-aged smells more dense,
A little bit more mature too. Are they put into the barrel around the same time?
about a month apart.
Damn near the same time.
Yeah, this is that 1-year yard-age, a little bit more leafy. This is more dense. I'm getting more caramel showing up on this.
It's also a little bit less brash, even though
Yeah.
the age statement is pretty much the same. The 1-year yard age, it's more just kind of like throwing elbows.
Wow.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah, now I'm smelling the classic vanilla caramel sweetness, brown sugar.
Gosh, that yard age does make a difference.
Wow.
It's the 1-year yard age. It's shiny. There's nothing wrong with the whiskey, but this one feels like it's just a little bit further along. Like more so than a month difference in
Yeah.
the yard age barrels.
The berries, but now the berries have become a syrup.
It's like an oaky syrup on a pancake.
Yeah.
There was nice stuff I was finding in the 1-year yard aged. The 2-year yard aged, you could definitely tell a difference. And I do think it's a difference that is more than what would just come from a single barrel variation. Now we're gonna check in on the 3 on the nose. What do we have?
Dustier. It smells older
It does smell a little
than
bit.
that 1 month difference from
Yeah.
the 2-year yard age.
Just letting the wood get older, if you age it with the spirit the same amount of time, it makes the spirit
Yeah.
smell older.
And again, these are 53-gallon Char 2.
If you scale this up across tons of barrels, who knows what the difference is going to be. But on this very small scale experiment, I'm seeing more complexity in the spirit that is the same age spirit. It's just the amount of time that you age out in the yard before you turned it into a barrel that had a whiskey put into it. I'm finding more complexity there.
Yep.
Just because you yard aged the wood more.
A lot more musty. I think it's musty and oaky. It's covering up the berry notes. The caramel, the vanilla, the berry.
Yeah, like a dark charred molasses.
It's one of those variables you really should take into consideration. 'Cause, yeah, it'll have that much of an impact.
That's so annoying. One, getting your hand on new oak is one thing. Getting your hand on new oak that has the oak yard aged is another thing. Getting your hands on new oak barrels that have also been yard aged longer than, ideally we want 2 years, but it's just really freaking hard to find that criteria consistently.
Yeah, it turns out there's a lot of distilleries building new 10,000 barrel warehouses,
Yeah.
making bourbon and taking up a whole lot of new oak.
So as you would imagine, with that demand on the supply for yard-aged barrels, with well-seasoned barrels, then there's a tremendous amount of pressure for cooperages to have alternatives that don't take so much time. Enter something called kiln-aged. barrels. And that's exactly what it sounds like. They're putting the wood in a kiln and applying heat to forcefully dry out that wood more quickly than it would take naturally. Kyle did some really interesting research here. Check this out. He actually did kiln-dried oak compared to air-seasoned oak, also yard-aged oak. There's so many different variables and differences in these two processes that I'm gonna link this down in the description below if you really want to dig into those details. But if we're going to look at it really quick, between kiln aging and yard aging, air seasoning, you're going to get differences in things like drying time, the drying process, the moisture content, wood stability, tannin breakdown, lignin, hemicellulose, volatile phenol release, lactone development, microbial activity, resin and wax breakdown, flavor profile, astringency, toasting and char interaction, vanillin formation, environmental factors, cost and time, impact on finished spirit. All of these things affect your experience in the glass, and like most things in life, the shortcuts usually don't yield the best results. If we take resin and wax breakdown, for example, with the kiln-dried oak, you have limited breakdown and potential bitterness. With the yard-aged oak, the seasoned oak, you have a gradual breakdown and less bitterness. But here's what happens. Here's a sample from a barrel, a small barrel, 5-gallon barrel. It's not the end of the world, but an experiment that we're running, we want it to be a nice yard-aged spirit. Here's one of the telltale signs with a kiln-dried barrel. Smells like pencil shavings. It's one of the telltale signs. You can also get sappy notes if it's a kiln-dried barrel, but yes, you have to stay on your toes because if you're not paying attention, an unscrupulous supplier could slip in some kiln stuff whenever you're paying for yard. So the 1 year yard aged, it's not that, oh, the 1 year yard aged is garbage. It's not, it has different flavors and it's more brash. But underneath that ethanol layer that will age out over time, there's a really nice, beautiful, very sweet fruity note. Whenever you get to the 3 year mark, this has a lack of fruitiness right now for me, my preferences. Maybe in this final version, whenever we release them, to incorporate some of that fruitiness, maybe we're blending them together.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, what if something in the 3 year yard age shifts?
There's so many variables in whiskey making. It's hitting a moving target, but that moving target's gonna change shape and size as it's flying through the air. Tons of variables.
Interesting difference, I like it.
What's interesting to me about this topic is how meaningful of a factor it is in that flavor profile, but this is absent in most conversation, even amongst whiskey nerds. The amount of yard aging, the amount of seasoning that the wood gets before it's turned into a barrel, you gotta age out a lot of those compounds that will throw off the flavors.
So about a year-old whiskey.
The volume's not cranked up on the flavors yet. The flavors are just now starting to establish themselves.
And we might have a way to crank up those flavors.
This, you're talking about the wave stage.
We have the barrels, there's nothing to see about them. They look like an old
They just
barrel.
look like a standard new barrel.
It's what's on the inside that
Okay.
is the big difference.
Okay.
So for the wave stave, on the length, going from top to bottom, there's a kind of a wave shaved in, dug into the oak. And that's shaved in, and then they toast and char it.
Yeah.
So now you have varying levels, varying heights.
Typical stave, super flat. If you carve a wave in there,
There is a moderate increase in surface area, but when the groove is cut in and then you char it, then you have varying heights all throughout, which means you're getting multiple levels of toast and char in the same barrel.
if this is like just clean and just now getting established, it sounds like there's an opportunity for us to see if we can get that complexity of the multi-layered chars, of the increased surface area with the wood.
I don't know if, I wish I had more than just one example. I mean, how many people use wave staves?
How many people even know about waves?
Yeah, so far all I know of is Sagamore.
So they call it the double oak. Sagamore did this experiment ahead of us. One, how dare you? Two, thank you so much, because I don't have a time machine.
It's thickening it up.
Thick, dense, rich.
Yeah, it's syrupy without that crazy sweetness, that crazy sugar content.
Okay.
I'm starting to smell the wood itself a lot more.
In the wave stave.
Yeah, really pleasant,
It's
fresh toasted wood.
You know what? It's almost throwing like a charred saltiness in there too.
Yeah, that's a trip.
That's an episode. Let's check out wave stave stuff. So Sagamore has been making rye whiskey up in Baltimore. Somewhere along the way, they started using some wave stave barrels, one of their products. They did not sponsor this episode, by the way, but I have questions. I think we need to take a trip. All right, Brianna,
Yes?
I have good news.
Okay.
We're gonna play a little game.
Okay. Hangman?
We're gonna play Hangman. How
Wait,
did you
for
know?
real?
How did you know we were gonna play Hangman?
I hacked it.
What the hell is that?
That's the only game that's on a board with a marker,
Okay.
right?
Okay. We're gonna take a trip. I'm gonna give you a hint.
What? Wait! Can I guess a letter?
Yeah?
Can I guess a letter?
Go ahead.
S.
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 Whoa.
What?
You're going to Maryland.
What the hell? It's the same amount of letters.
You finally get to take your trip to Maryland.
No, Scotland! Damn it! What the hell? Wow, it's the same.
We're going to Scotland.
No!
Starting to get into this wave stave conversation, we have a bonus interview in Patreon with one of the very, very first guys up in Sagamore who was rolling the first barrels off of the truck whenever they were starting out. In that interview, we're going to talk about a big mistake that caused them to experiment with some wave stave barrels, which I had no idea it was a mistake that caused that experimentation to happen, which is highly relevant to our own situation, but we'll get into that in the Patreon video.